We are at the Decode podcast booth at IPC Apex 2025. We are here with Mark Mankoura, who recently learned out that it was the Scottish who built the pyramids. So, Mark, when Sean said that to you, what was your first reaction?
It was just pure shock, to be honest. You know, everything I knew just flew out the window. Just didn't know what to believe anymore. My own culture. I don't even know who I am.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Sean's always enlightening us with things like that. We have a mutual friend we'll just call Orak in this space that is pretty sure everything generated from Scotland. And Sean acts like he's Scottish in that chat, so he goes along with all that stuff. But that chat's been really focused on process stuff, and that's what you do, right?
Absolutely.
Would you like to talk about what you do on a daily?
Yeah. So I run a second generation EMSCM. So my dad established a printed circuit board assembly house back in the late 80s, so in 87. And now I'm taking over the business with my brother, and we're just trying to make Pops proud, you know, keep the business rolling.
Does he know you're forcing him out, or
he's honestly forcing us in.
Okay.
You know?
What's the name of the company, by the way?
We're called AT&A. It stands for Advanced Technology and Assembly.
Cool.
Advanced technology back in the 80s too, right?
Yeah, back in the late 80s.
Is it all through hole then still, or was there surface mount going on?
So it was surface mount and through hole. The thing that's most vivid to me is that he was doing surface mount, so he would populate the bottom side of a board with surface mount capacitors, but he was gluing them with epoxy.
And then putting it through wave?
And then he passes them through the wave once he populated the top side with the through holes.
So that's a real life story.
I'm telling you, I've been telling you that I've one of our earlier conversations, like in this relationship, if that's what this is, dysfunctional, whatever,
partnership, whatever,
was about.
Don't put labels on it.
Was about glue or epoxy stencils, and I was explaining to them how when SMT kind of first made its foray into our space, it was not as common or not as high of a percentage of an assembly as through hole. So you would just have a few SMT placements and all this through hole. So rather than doing separate processes, you could attach the SMT components with, I'm saying that wrong.
When you glue it, does it go through reflow to cure it then?
So
no, your wave is the reflow.
So you use wave. There's no paste.
No, I know that, but I'm saying, is it do the glue just activate at room temperature? And
yes, yeah. And then you could wave solder SMT placements, right? So rather than have to do two separate soldering processes, you could do both with one.
And apparently they do this. You can do this even with ICs as long as they're designed this way. And
nothing bottom terminated.
Right. I mean, like a standard SO8 or whatever.
Yeah.
I've personally only seen it with chip capacitors.
Okay.
So you're operating north of our border, right, in Canada?
I'm operating north of the border. Yes, sir.
Well, it's refreshing to have an actual process engineer join us today. So thank you.
It's honestly, it's an honor to be here with you guys. I've been looking forward to meeting all three of you in person and just, you know, having a process engineer on the show.
Yeah. We met earlier today, and it was fun running into you because we've all interacted on LinkedIn together, and so putting a face to those names is a lot of fun, right?
100%.
Yeah, 100%. One of our two Canadian friends, right?
Yeah.
Who's the second Canadian friend?
Who's the second Canadian?
Caleb.
Oh, sure.
Caleb.
Sure.
Wow.
He's
familiar with Caleb
You
as
know
well.
Caleb, right?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a very true process engineer, much better than myself.
Yeah, I think myself included.
No, he's for real though. Like, he's done so many different improvements to his place. Just I think he runs that place.
He's like a one-man show.
Almost himself, and all the different steps he knows through and through. It's pretty crazy.
Seems like a jack of all trades.
Yeah. I think he has to be with their company size.
Yeah.
Obsessed with like lean manufacturing to the point where he'll actually design the selective solder to be enough time for him to place the components into the next job, place it while that's soldering, right? Then he's inspecting, and then by the time he turns back over to here to place some more components, when he's done with that, then that board's off to selective solder. So he's literally just rotating like this, a one-man guy doing 3 jobs like this over and over and over.
Yeah.
At the same time.
That's a
Yeah.
small business owner right there.
Yeah.
Just got to do what you got to do to deliver.
Yeah.
It seems like he's reading the beat of the manufacturing floor as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't notice it, but the factory, if you go inside, it has a rhythm. You just want to follow the rhythm. Get boards out, continuous, you know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny.
it's painful to see lines just sit there, right?
Oh,
you just want
man.
to see processes in action. You know?
Absolutely. I
Like,
want to hear the machines running.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any
It's
red
music.
tower lights.
It's
Yeah.
funny
Right?
you say that because the other day I had an operator out and I had another operator running the selective. And I'm like from here, you know, like 60 feet maybe farther over that way, which is 30 metric. I don't know. I'm trying to be nice over you.
Honestly, you lost me.
Yeah. 30 meters. 30 meters.
A meter is
30
like
meters.
roughly a
Not
yard.
30 metric.
Yeah. It's irrelevant.
I mean, I think it's
It was
So-
30 Canadas away.
30 Canadas away. It's pretty far. So, but I was listening and I heard
Oh, my
the
goodness.
belt go. "Ee." So it's I know
Wait,
the
hold
pump's
on.
not.
How was
going.
that?
"Ee."
Ah,
So I know the pump's not running, right?
yeah.
And like I run downstairs, right? Because I know what I should be hearing in the shop, you know, and especially in PCB fab, you had to know the sounds and you had to smell because it's the first thing you could tell if something was wrong in the process. Because especially in PCB fab, you got so much water going through there. If you don't hear like the pumps cavitating, boom, flood. It's and it's like shot back. It's just so much. It's a pain, right? So you had to be aware of it, and I feel like that trauma has helped me in PCB assembly, right?
You have to have some trauma to be good at PCB assembly.
Yeah, you do. So is there any challenging things that you're seeing coming across your plate? Are you getting the 01005s or?
I mean, we haven't seen 01005s. The smallest thing that we usually do is 0201s.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty standard
It's
for
pretty
us.
tiny, those guys too.
They're still pretty small.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly how big they seem to us now that you've gotten comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And BGAs, we go down to, I want to say, 0.6 millimeter pitch. I've seen some 0.5 millimeter pitch. They're not as common, but we've seen some of them. But most of the challenges come into, for us, in finding different ways to maximize the use of the equipment that we have in-house, which is one of the beauties about Apex, you know, because you have these pieces of equipment. You can have the best piece of equipment, but if you don't know how to use every feature in it,
Then you won't be extracting the value out
exactly.
of it.
So that's one of my favorite things about Apex is that I come in, I bring my questions about, you know, I'm not able to do this on my AOI. Is there something I'm doing wrong? Or can I play with the inspection logic? These types of things. Also, in the past year, we've introduced a few new pieces of equipment. And to have an equipment fully up and running, it takes like a good amount of time. right?
Yeah.
So when you first install it, the questions you have are not going to be the same as
Yeah.
when you've been running it for a year.
Oh,
or
your
so.
questions will be so much better a year later.
So much better.
Yeah.
Which is one of my main goals is to do that, to just see how can I dive deeper into my equipment.
I think that's a great point because I think, you know, obviously all the vendors here would appreciate new sales, right? They want to sell stuff.
Of course.
But there's so much more value to folks like yourself than that. Being able to speak with folks about the equipment that you already have, having gained the knowledge of operating it for a little bit of time, and then really maximizing the potential of your equipment.
When you first start with a new piece of machinery, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the questions that you need to ask until you experience the hurdles that you're going to have to overcome, right? So it takes a bit of time of building up. Hey, I had a hard time doing this. I had a hard time doing that. Or usually when I do this, this happens. This one time when I did this, this other thing happened. What's going on there? You know, like you have to have that experience.
exactly.
before
The
you can
experience is everything. Like
Yeah.
even for me, when I came out of school, like I had an engineering degree, but the experience that I learned over the past 7 years working in assembly, man, that's way more valuable than a
For
bachelor's
sure.
degree, in my opinion.
Is this what you always wanted to do? Was PCB assembly or?
I don't think so, man. I never, like, my dad always had the business. And for the longest time, I didn't even know what he did. You know, like, I was just a young kid. I would go into the shop. I would trim some leads and stuff like that, right?
Nice.
You know, like just like simple stuff that he would give me that like, you know, won't hurt anything, just to keep me busy.
Right.
But when I came out of school, I realized that I had an opportunity, and it would be a waste not to take advantage of the opportunity. And
People don't always recognize that, so that's good to.
so I'm thankful for that first and foremost. And surprisingly, the more I worked in electronics assembly, the more I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's a certain like passion that I'm developing for this.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things is seeing that machine, the factory, moving efficiently.
Yeah.
You know, I just love to see boards coming out of the line, looking good, no defects.
It's so funny you say that because I was running my head as 8 heads, 8 nozzles, and
But
it's a 12
nozzle machine.
A setting got changed by one of my operators, and so then I had to change it back to 12, right? Because I'm like, they were out for the day, and I'm watching that thing go. I'm like, why is it only doing 8? And I'm like, is it the package? Is it? No, it's a small part. It should pick up 12. And they come to find out. And then now it's like I walk by and I
A
see this,
25% increase
Yeah.
in throughput.
yeah. So
That's
now,
huge, man.
Well, you talk about not knowing what your machine's capable of, right? Like so, but you have to watch. You have to hear that heartbeat. So, but now, like I see that I'll like glance by as I walk by, I see the CPH, and then like man, I gotta take a picture of that, right? Like wow, look how fast we're going now. Wow, we're going this fast, right? So like when you talk about seeing those babies hum, you know, and efficiently and without spitting parts, and you know you just feel confident in the program that you wrote and stuff like that.
There's not much more fun to me than when you solve a process challenge, right? Like when I get a new like selective solder job that I have to try and program, and it's got all those ESD protecting diodes just right around all the pins that I'm going to need, and it's like, how do I do this? I mean, like one of them we got recently where there was something just way too close on one side of the pin, but we were able to approach it from the other side and just kind of kiss it where it then filled in all the way around and filled up the whole like it was crazy. We were able to still do it, even though I mean the spacing is
Right.
so minuscule, you know, like
And that's one of the beautiful things about being a CM, you know? The products you're building, they just expose you to so much.
Yeah.
That you end up having like a tool belt of so many different
Right.
tips and tricks. So
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite
Would
things.
you? This is a question we often ask each other. Would you rather run one product, like a lot of it,
Yeah.
or would you rather have the multiple different
The
high
high
mix?
mix.
Yeah.
The high mix?
What would you rather have?
I mean,
It's
it
a tough one,
depends.
right?
It's a tough question to answer. Just for, you know, if
Sti-
I'm trying to take the easy road out, I'm going to take one product. But if I want to challenge myself and constantly learn and grow, then I'm definitely going to take the high mix.
So what if it's the same dollar amount? What if it's the same dollar amount for?
he didn't answer the question.
I'm
in
curious
terms of
though
dollar,
if that changed anything.
Asked and answered.
I
Yeah.
mean, it would be the same answer.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to challenge myself and learn and grow, I'm going to take the high mix.
I mean, there is something to the idea. I know Caleb runs a lot of one product, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about this concept with him before, and what he loves about running the same product is still he's still finding
Trying
ways
to
to
shave
extract
seconds
more
and-
of it. Yeah, like he's just there's always something he's looking for
The
to still
challenge
improve.
is different,
you know?
but
Like,
it's still there, right?
Yeah.
It becomes this like efficiency challenge.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you have the right personality, you know, somebody else would probably just take the status quo and be cool with it and
Sure.
run the same problem. But you know, if he's built like we are, so even if he's not doing the same high mix, he still wants to be constantly evolving and changing and improving. Anyway, honestly, Mark, we could talk to you forever.
For real.
We got to do this on an actual pod sometime.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy your show here.
I thank you guys. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure chatting with you guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mark. Thank you.